So this video just goes through some examples of surface area and volume for prisms, rectangular prisms, triangular prisms, and for cylinders. So if we look at this particular example, we'll start with volume because it's the easiest. So the formula for volume is base times height times depth. And then we write the formula and then we just fill in what we know. And then we're just going to end up multiplying those together. And when we do that, we will get 144. And then remember, volume is centimeters cubed. Now, surface area is a little bit more complicated. So the formula for surface area of a rectangular prism is sum of all areas. And so if we remember from the video you watched before that reviewed surface area, we need to think about what's the top and bottom. So the area of the top and bottom would be 12 times 3, and there's 2 of those. Then we need to think about what about the left and the right of the shape? Well, the left and the right of the shape is right here, and that's 4 times 3. Some of you may find it helpful to separate into color. So for example, this is the top and the bottom, and that's this color here. And then the left and the right is here, and that's this color. And then you need the front and the back, and that will be 12 times 4, and there's 2 of those. And again, just to demonstrate that, that would be this shape here. So you might find it helpful to outline in color, and then all you have to do is find each of those. So the area of this one will be 72, this one will be 24, and this one will be, I think 96, I'm just double checking, yep. And then all you're going to do is add those together. So 96 plus 24 plus 72, you're going to get 192, and surface area is centimeters squared. So let's look at a triangular prism. So this one is kind of like a Toblerone bar. One thing to notice with this one is that these two sides are equal, so that will help us when we're doing surface area. So again, we're going to start with volume because it's the easiest. The formula for volume is base times height times depth divided by 2. The base is 5, the height is 4, the depth is 6, and we're going to divide that by 2. And we'll get 60 when we do that. And again, because it's volume, we do centimeters cubed. Surface area, again, a little bit more complicated. We're going to find the sum of areas of all sides. So in a triangular prism, we have 2 triangles. In this case, they are isosceles triangles. The formula for area of the triangle is base times height divided by 2. So the triangles would be right in here, and there are 2 of them. So that would be the base is 5, the height is 4. We divide by 2, but then there are 2 of them. So some of you are going to prefer to not write the divide 2 times 2. You're just going to write 5 times 4. That's perfectly fine. Then we have 3 rectangles. One of the rectangles is on the base, right here. And the area of that will be 5 times 6. So that's the one in blue. And then we have ones on the left and the right. And these, because it's isosceles, they happen to be the same. They won't always be the same. So this one will be 6 times 4.5, and there are 2 of those. And that's the one in purple. One thing to be aware of, sometimes I won't give you this side, the slanted side, and you're going to have to use Pythagorean theorem to find that. And so you'd have to think about, here's your triangle with your base of 5 and your height of 4. You'd have to find that side. And so you actually have to break it down into a right-angled triangle, and that will be half the base if it's an isosceles. So in an isosceles triangle, and so you'd have to actually find the missing side. This one gives it to you, although I rounded it. But that's basically sometimes what you're going to have to do. And then we can just figure that out. So that part's 20, that part's 30, and this part is 54. And then we're going to add them together, and we get 104, and it's surface area, so it will be centimeters squared. And then we'll look at a cylinder. So again, volume of a cylinder is pi times r squared times height. Just have to be careful. I gave you the diameter here, so you've got to find the radius, which will be 12 divided by 2, which will be 6. And then you just punch that into your calculator. And don't forget to use the pi button on your calculator. And that answer will be 2,035. And then we'll round it to 1 decimal place, so we'll say 0.8. A question would tell you whether to round to 1 or to 2. Surface area is 2 pi r squared, that's the top and the bottom, plus 2 pi r h, or this is actually the same as pi times diameter times height. Both of those are fine. And then again, we just substitute in, so 2 times pi times radius squared, plus 2 times pi times radius times height, and we figure out, whoops, that should be pi. We figure out what each of these pieces is equal to. So that one we'll say is 226.195. We always go to more decimal places than a question asks. You don't want to round too soon. And this one will be 678.584. And then if we put those together, we get 904, and we'll round to 1 decimal place, so we'll say 0.8. So you always go to, if it asks for 1, you always go to 2 or 3 places. If it asks for 2, you definitely would go to at least 3. So you always go at least 1 more than what it asks. So these are just some examples of volume and surface area of some of the prisms.